Good morning, Nigeria, and from wherever you're watching from, this is Moneyline with Nancy. I am Nancy Nnaji. Every morning, two different stories unfold across Nigeria. On one end, trading floors light up as the equities market added over 11 trillion naira in July after bleeding in the tune of 13 trillion naira in June. The July rally was powered by a massive banking recovery and soaring stock gains, reminding investors that opportunities still exist for those who can navigate the cycles. But just down the street, a quieter story plays out, where millions of business owners who keep our economy running, contributing almost half of Nigeria's GDP and employing nearly 88% of the workforce, are silently pulling down their shutters, crushed by rising costs, high interest rates, and crippling power deficits. The reforms promised to free Nigerian SMEs. Did they reach the workshop, the market stall, the kiosk, the startup garage, or just the headlines? So this morning, we'll be asking who is truly winning in this post-reform economy and who is being left behind. Joining me shortly is Tajuddin Olayinka, CEO, Woimin Capital and Partners, to break down July's equities market performance and what lies ahead for investors. Then, Engineer Abdullahi Hashim, CEO, Cubicle Vertex Solutions, and policy expert, joins us to discuss MSMEs after the reforms, winners, losers, and the way forward. So stay locked in, connect with us right now across all our social media platforms, and hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. And hey, if you miss any part of this conversation, set your alarms. We've got you covered with the replay tonight at 1 a.m. But let's begin with the headlines. Let's start by telling that President Bola Tinubu says Nigeria has taken the lead in renewable energy capacity development across Africa. Speaking in Kogi State through the Vice President Kashim Shettima, the President said the new Renewable Energy College will equip Nigerians with practical skills, create jobs, and support clean energy growth. He added that the initiative reflects his administration's commitment to building sustainable industries and boosting economic development. The federal government has directed ministries, departments, and agencies to fully comply with the Nigeria Data Protection Act 2023. In a statement, the Nigeria Data Protection Commission said the directive, contained in a circular signed by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, aims to promote responsible data governance, protect personal information, and boost public trust in government systems. The federal government has linked Nigeria's economic challenges to global shocks, including conflicts, trade tensions, and rising energy costs. Speaking in Abuja, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu, said these pressures have affected farmers, businesses, and households. He added that the government is working with development partners to strengthen support for vulnerable Nigerians. The Central Bank of Nigeria says its monetary reforms are delivering positive results, with external reserves rising above $52.5 billion as of July 17th, the highest level in 17 years. Central Bank Governor Olayemi Cardoso made the disclosure in Gombe, saying the gains were driven by stronger capital flows, renewed investors' confidence, lower inflation, and improved stability in the foreign exchange markets. Still on the Central Bank of Nigeria, it has reaffirmed its commitment to expanding financial inclusion through digital payment channels. Speaking in Gombe State, Acting Director of Corporate Communications, Hakama Sidi Ali, said wider adoption of digital payments will improve access to financial services, drive economic growth, and support the bank's reforms aimed at strengthening Nigeria's financial system. You need to take a listen to this. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission says Nigeria lost over $500 million to cyber criminals in 2022. Speaking in Abuja, EFCC Chairman Ola Olukoyede said poverty and limited access to education are among factors driving young people into cybercrime. He also said many public servants turn to corruption as a result of difficulties in meeting basic needs such as housing, transportation, and education. All right, it's time for us to take you to the wall over there as we talk through the markets for today. It's a rainy day here, at least a rainy morning here in Abuja, and let's see if the markets would be bullish today. We saw that the trading day opened with system liquidity on a cushion of 5.32 trillion naira in liquidity, thanks to primary market repayments flowing back into banks, and that comfort showed in the rates. The NOFA held flat at about 22% on Tuesday. That's what you're seeing right here. The NOFA holding steady at 22%. Over in the Treasury bills market, the CBN came back for a second straight OMO auction, offering 600 billion naira across 112 and 133 days. Demand was anything but shy, but we saw 2.20 trillion naira in subscriptions chasing that paper, with the Apex Bank allotting about 2.17 trillion naira at 20.35% and 20.15%. In the secondary market, the fresh July 29th bill traded quietly at about 16.95%, nudging the benchmark yield up by about 1 basis point to 18.42%. So bonds told us a calmer story. The 2035 and 2037 papers opened wide at about 17.25 by 17.05, with most players watching from the sidelines until mild buying crept in on the mid curve, and that pulled the 2035 down to 17.22%, and the benchmark yield 4 basis points lower to around 16.73%. Now let's take a look offshore. Eurobonds traveled with one eye on the Strait of Hormuz. Washington says talks with Tehran to end the 5-month war are ongoing. Iran says no such talks exist. With U.S. jobs opening, barely budging at about 7.359 million. If we take a look at Nigeria's Eurobond yield, they still eased 1 basis point to about 6.86%. Now for the Naira, it found some strength. It appreciated by 0.17% to close at 1,362 naira 55 kobo to the dollar. But it was equities that stole the drama. On Tuesday, the all-share index slipped 0.38% to 245,802.8 points. A market cap eased to about 157 trillion naira. We saw some stocks rallying, like livestock feeds, nearly 10% each, while Living Trust, Multiverse, and some other stocks hit the floor, down as much as 10% also. Volume surged 69.41% to 1.56 billion shares. Japan Gold alone moved 904 million units, even as traded value fell 24.13% to about 28.67 billion naira. For MTN Nigeria, it led value by 3.25 billion naira. Now, if we cast our eyes abroad, Wall Street isn't just recovering, it's rewriting history. The Dow Jones Industrial Average added 907 points to close at a record of 54,085.88. The S&P 500 jumped 1.79% to 7,736.52. Nasdaq surged 2.5% as hopes of an interim U.S.-Iran deal over the Strait of Hormuz lifted sentiment alongside strong earnings season. And I'm talking about the U.S. now, foreign markets. And that same Hormuz optimism is reshaping commodities. For oil prices, it was steady this morning after 2 straight days of sharp losses, with Brent crude edging up to about $79.62 a barrel. WTI, as the West Texas Intermediate, at $75.90, and traders are weighing whether mediation talks can actually reopen the strait. And gold is riding the same currents. Gold is up 1.3% to around $4,127 an ounce, lifted by softer oil prices and a weaker dollar as usual. And investors await fresh U.S. jobs data for clues on the Fed's next move. And that's your market this morning. And how we'll be trading, what it will be looking like today. What you're seeing right now on the screen the July 2026 performance overview. I'll be discussing that and what we expect to see the remainder of this year. The market added 11 trillion naira gain in the month. We saw the lowest level of the All-Share Index at 229,419.18 within the month of July. The highest level of market index was at 247,984.55. Of course, the banking stock soared, followed by the insurance index. Don't forget that NICOM, the recapitalization of the insurance sector is over as at July 31, 2026. In case you missed that show, I talked about the recapitalization of the insurance industry. I don't know why the news is not so much like the banking recapitalization. But anyway, it's my duty here to keep you up to speed with everything business and finance, and part of it is the insurance company's recapitalization. We'll still be looking at it in days and weeks to come, but NICOM has actually brought up its report card on insurance companies that have, managed to scale. The oil and gas index was down last month. So we'll be discussing this when we come back from the break now. And after that, we'll also be looking at MSMEs in Nigeria, the winners, the losers, the way forward. President Tinubu's reforms, have they lifted MSMEs, or are they dying slowly? All that and more when we come back from the break. It's facts, it's figures, no political coloration, you know. This show, we talk the facts, and we'll be right back. Every day, decisions are made in boardrooms, ministries, and markets. But who ask the questions that really matter to Nigeria? I go beyond the headlines, speaking with policymakers, business leaders, and everyday Nigerians affected by every policy and market shift. Citizens are saying, with even the little you say you are getting now, how are you spending it? What kind of wake-up call do you think that we should have right now?
Nigeria is in a good place in terms of the global demographics.
From inflation to investment, banking to business, I ask the tough questions with sharp analysis, detailed research, and real conversations. Because when it comes to business, finance, and the economy, you deserve clarity.
People like you who have interaction with the public are our close partners.
Join me live on Moneyline with Nancy, weekdays on AIT, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Every day, decisions are made in boardrooms, ministries, and markets. But who ask the questions that really matter to Nigeria? This is Moneyline with Nancy, and this is a program that sets your business day for you.
Inflation played a 9-1 on us, and the cost of doing business and the cost of living crisis persists. But we can win. We can win on those two things.
We need to work on our infrastructure, maintain what we have, and add new infrastructure. Isn't it interesting to you that it still costs less to ship something from China to Lagos than from Dakar to Nigeria?
Resilience is not only bouncing back when there is crisis or shocks. Resilience is about the ability to adapt, the ability to innovate, the ability to thrive in a VUCA world, which is basically a world that we have a lot of vulnerabilities, a world that we have a lot of uncertainty.
Thank you, Nancy. You've been doing a great job in trying to educate Nigerians, and we must appreciate you for that.
Everybody tells me you're the gold standard in this business, yeah.
More anti-Naji, for the best you can be, and for that change as well. All right, welcome back to the program. My first guest joins me right now. He's Mr. Tajuddin Olayinka. He's the CEO at Warimin Capital and Partners. Mr. Olayinka, good to see you. Welcome to the program. Good morning from Abuja. It's a rainy Abuja this morning.
Good morning, Nancy. I think we're having a different story in Lagos.
Well,
right?
Okay, so there's no rain as of now in Lagos.
As of now, yes, no rain yet.
Okay. It rained, it was greenish, it was bullish in July. Isn't it for equities? Looking at the markets, the month of July added 11 trillion naira gain. And it looks impressive on the surface, but we're taking a look at four stocks: Airtel Africa, First Holdco, MTN Nigeria, and Dangote Cement, accounting for 97% of this gain. Is this genuinely a market recovery or just four giants doing all the lifting?
Okay, I think, we have to look at it, place it in context. Those stocks you mentioned actually had, especially, if you look at, FBN Holdings, had special transactions for most part of that July, especially toward the end, and restored that move price of that stock, when the majority shareholder there decided to pick more from the market rather than pick more from the usual negotiation. So when you hit market that way, the tendency is that it will move price. And so we saw price almost eating the rooftop, and that also lifted the index. Yes, Dangote Cement, that one has been somehow volatile. We have seen volatility there, but each time it moved, it has a way of moving market alongside with it. So that also contributed. Then the other one too, the same story. So clearly, yes, liquidity is still there, but there are also challenges because we continue to see volatility. We continue to see investors price and reprice risk from time to time. I mean, if you look at the index, if you look at the performance of index between end of June and between end of July and now, especially if you look at market, what market closed yesterday, you see clearly that the index is also dropping, and we have seen that volatility as well. So it's still more of a market that is now more enriched with volatility rather than the usual stable, steady growth that we saw in the early part of the year.
Did I hear you right that the market is filled with volatility? Is that what you said, sir? Yes,
we still have some semblance of volatility. The market goes up today. Maybe we have a 2 days increase, and then we have a 3 days drop. Or
is that volatility? Is that volatility, yes, or investors are trying to take positions? Investors are doing what we call profit taking.
Yes, investors do profit taking, but is it on the balance? Most of especially if you look at the banking stocks, they are still heavily underpriced. So if you see movement there, it's not surprise. One shouldn't be surprised about that. It's not surprising at all because they still have enough headroom. But if you look at consumer goods sector, many of the stocks there have actually gained so much in terms of what their fair prices should be. But then you still see some of these stocks, the stock prices still move. Still have, they still move because investors are still showing interest, even though prices there are already high up. So, but in some sectors, you don't see much of that, perhaps because investors either taking profit or simply just repricing those instruments. So, yes, we can still say it's still volatile, but then liquidity is actually sustaining the tendency for it to grow. So that's why most times we see more of upward movement than the downward movement. The downward trend is not so significant.
That liquidity which you mentioned, is it driven fundamentally by earnings and valuations?
Yeah, earnings and valuations are there, but there are other factors that you can take after the market, especially increased desire by investors to hold naira assets. Because of the stability they have seen in the macroeconomic environment, especially the stable exchange rate that we have witnessed over the past months. So investors, tend to actually pricing that into the price of equity, by way of showing desire to hold naira assets. So the fact that some of these investors, either local or foreign, have that desire to hold Naira assets because of a stable state of Naira or stable state of the exchange rate, then of course that is also attracting liquidity, in fact pushing liquidity into that market. So that is actually the major source of liquidity, desire to hold Naira assets.
The banking stocks, we've seen that the banking stocks accounted for most of the market's momentum. Do you think that investors are rewarding genuine resilience in the banking sector, or perhaps also rewarding the recapitalization gains? The banking sector creamed out about 4.6 trillion naira from the market alone for its recapitalization. So what do you think is moving that banking sector momentum? Is it genuine banking resilience, recapitalization gains, or even interest rates expectations, as it were? Because if you take a look at the markets, the NPR, 26.5%. If you perhaps invest in banking equities, you will get more than that. It depends on how you navigate your cycle.
Okay, I think you can look at it from from both sides. Interest rate expectation is there, but the recapitalization itself has repositioned the banking industry to a level where most investors believe that the best is yet to come in terms of profitability. Most of this newly raised capital have not been fully deployed. And so, by the time, with the fact that they have not been fully deployed, we have seen performance across board. These companies, these banks are doing pretty well in terms of their earnings. And so, investors believe that when they have full deployment of this capital, this newly raised capital, then the tendency is that we have more robust earnings, and then of course we will have better performance across board. The bank, like I mentioned earlier, all along the banking stocks have been more or less be underpriced. Currently they are underpriced, and the tendency for the prices of this company stock to move upward. That tendency is there, and so investors are taking early position in those banking stocks, so that when the bullish run comes in or settles into the system, they are already up. They are already up and going. So that's why you are seeing liquidity being attracted there. More so, banking stocks are the most liquid. They are very liquid. Any day, any time you can exit. Any day, any time you can enter. So entry and exit are actually on a balance. So you don't have threat of difficulty exiting a banking stock. So and because they are highly regulated, it means that even if you cannot, even if an investor cannot exercise caution, the regulators are helping you to exercise those caution. Placing you on a quick notice that look, this is what we are doing here. This is what this bank, this is what this particular bank is doing. This is what the banking industry is looking like. So you are having continuous assurance and reassurance from the regulator that this banking sector is safe. This banking sector is just there to support the economy, and they are very, very strong in terms of their performance. So that is also helping investors shape their decision and take appropriate decision from time to time. That's why I think it's because of that liquidity that is making the stock to be somehow underpriced. Because I expect some of the banking, the price of the banking stock to be above the level many of them are trading. There is no reason why those banking, especially look at FBN Holdings, is now trading almost at the same price with Zenith and even GTCO, close to those two companies. But if you look at the fundamentals, clearly you can't take away the beauty of the performance of these two companies, GTCO and Zenith. But then, market is yet to reprice those instruments, those two stocks, ahead of what FBN Holding is doing. Even though FBN Holding, came up with a very strong performance half year in 2026. So the fact that you cannot, if you do relative pricing, you see clearly that there is no way FBN Holdings to be trading above. In terms of pricing, will be trading above those two banks, because they are they have very strong fundamentals, and they have shown over the years that they can be trusted in terms of the figures they give you. Most of their figures and their numbers are never in doubt, and so for that reason, we are likely to see more attraction to those two stocks.
What should we expect?
Including Access Bank as well and UBA. Most of those banks are still highly underpriced.
What should we expect this month of August, even as we move towards the end of the year? If you are to build an equity portfolio for a client, I know that you have different clients, of course, with different monies and all of that. But if you are to build an equity portfolio, perhaps for let me put it, for someone that has purchasing power of, for someone that has disposable income of like $1 million now, what would be the equity portfolio like if you want to build for that a person, and what should we look forward to this month of August, very quickly?
Okay, yeah, for this month of August, I will still recommend banking stocks. I'm bullish on banking. I can tell you that most of those banking stocks are actually heavily underpriced. They are trading at deep discount to their true value. So if I'm going to give any investor just a small portfolio of 1 million naira, I'll just recommend at least pick 2 banking stocks and then pick one from the consumer goods sector. Because consumer goods sector have actually reached more, you can say it's on a plateau, but then sometimes they have a way of breaking through the plateau. So there's still some happenings there anyway. So I will still pick a consumer goods sector, but I'll be more bullish and make better recommendation on banking stocks. They are very liquid, they are very promising, and they are all doing well.
When we talk about banking stocks, don't you think that we've had like what we call like a concentration risk, sector risk, especially for banking stocks?
That is why I said I will still pick, maybe one stock. I won't do more than 3 stocks for $1 million naira investment. Otherwise, you just be picking peanuts, and then you won't have much. Yes, it look like a concentration risk, but like I mentioned earlier, the fact that banks are highly regulated. You can have a student stock or student debt in a non-banking stock than you will have in banking stock, because the signals are always very there, and the signals come early. But the signals don't come early. For instance, those who bought Ohando when Ohando did an offer in around 2010 or 2011, and that came at almost 70-something naira. And between that time and now, that company has never paid dividend. And so, it's something that they bought at about 70 naira more than 15 years ago, and it's trading at a discount to their entry price. Are you going to be comfortable with that? But if that company happen to be highly regulated like that, like banking losses being regulated by central bank, you will have seen that earlier signal will have been there to caution investors to say, look, don't go too fast on some of this on this particular company, on some of these other companies. Even though Ohando is coming back now, Ohando is still going to recover fully and make investors smile because of the new assets they have added into their portfolio. But can any investor allow that kind of waiting, that waiting time?
Okay.
16 years.
All right.
So this what I'm talking about. One is highly regulated and give you some kind of some kind of guide as to what you should be expecting. The other ones are not highly regulated. So that's not the reason.
Mr. Olayinka, short sentence answer. Do you think that this bull market, this is the beginning of a new bull market? At a time, some weeks ago, the All-Share Index reached 250,000 points. So do you think that this is the beginning of a new bull market, or are we going to see a reverse? Then the reforms, the T+1 settlement system, asset management, that is the SEC recapitalization drive for market operators, how do you think it's impacting the market so far? Short answers.
Okay, well, I think we had some challenges when the T+1 was launched, because some institutional investors had difficulty, positioning, adjusting their usual trade because they feel that they are not being compelled to perform transactions, which was not the case before now. So, but so far we have seen adjustment across board, investors adjusting, and everybody is beginning to see that yes, they still have a place to be in that market. So I think all the reforms are positive, and the signals are also positive. By the time we begin to receive results from audited results from banking, the banks generally, and then of course some other companies that will also want to pay half-year dividend. Once those results are out, we will likely to see a return of good sentiment.
Bull market, yes or no? Beginning of a bull market?
Yes.
Okay.
Bull market, yes, we'll see a bull market.
The market hasn't done badly this year. It's like the best market so far, even in dollar terms, so far.
Hasn't done badly.
Yes, it hasn't done badly.
It's not that liquidity, that desire to hold naira assets. That's what is driving the market.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lainka. I hope to speak with you soon. Thank you very much for doing this with us today.
Thank you to Nancy. It's always my pleasure.
All right, let's take a quick break, and when we return, it will be time for us to get into MSMEs in the country. We have about 39 million small businesses, micro, nano, micro, small, medium businesses in the country. 39 million as at the last count, from 41 million to 39 million. They've not counted the businesses yet from what we have. How are they doing with Tinubunomics? All that and more when we return from the break. Today, decisions are made in boardrooms, ministries, and markets. But who asks the questions that truly matter to Nigeria? I go beyond the headlines, speaking with policymakers, business leaders, and everyday Nigerians affected by every policy and market shift. Citizens are saying, with even the little you say you are getting now, how are you spending it? What kind of wake-up call do you think that we should have right now?
Nigeria is in a good place in terms of the global demographics.
From inflation to investments, banking to business, I ask the tough questions with sharp analysis, detailed research, and real conversations. Because when it comes to business, finance, and the economy, you deserve clarity.
People like you who have interaction with the public are our close partners.
Join me live on Moneyline with Nancy, weekdays on AIT, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Welcome to Moneyline with Nancy. Of course, this is the trusted source for in-depth conversation on finance, the economy, and everything in between. I am Nancy Naji.
The Abuja Treaty foresees that we have to adopt as Africa a linear model of integration of our market.
All right, welcome back to the program. My guest, Engineer Abdullahi Hashim, is joining me right now. He's the Chief Executive Officer at Cubicle Vertex Solution. He's also a policy expert. Good morning, Engineer, and welcome to the program.
Good morning.
We're talking about MSMEs after the reforms, Tinubunomics, as it were, how MSMEs have fared under Tinubunomics. Do you think, okay, we have 39 million as at today. We don't have new data from the NBS as well as, I think there was a UN agency that collaborated with the NBS some time ago, whether 3 years ago or 4 years ago, to be able to get the numbers of MSMEs that we have. If you take a look at this sector, contributing nearly half of Nigeria's GDP and employing about 88% of its workforce, how do you think that these sectors have fared under Tinubunomics? Tinubu's reforms.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me, actually. It is opportunity to be here, and then maybe it is important to say happy birthday to you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I
actually, the previous record actually shows that MSME are not doing very well, and majority of their activities are not about anything. It's about funding, actually. And especially when you talk about microeconomic activities, I will definitely first and foremost commend the effort of the CBN governor. He has really tried, because in 2023, actually, the GDP was really low, as well as our reserve was also low. Our reserve as at then was, I think, 33.22 billion actually, but now is 52 billion. And this is really commendable, and it shows that they have a sustained performance in dealing with the external reserve problems. Then secondly, when it comes to fiscal aspect too, tax reform laws are also there, but they are not effective till this year actually. So if you look at the time when the tax reform laws were at the National Assembly, they were back and forth. So that was why I have to start with talking about reforms. Reforms are really important, and the processes of the reforms and the policies are important, because majority of our reforms are external. We normally copy foreign policies. So, but contextualizing them, passing through the processes of National Assembly and other stuff is very important. And if we fail in reforms, we will fail in SMEs too, because reforms are there to provide solutions to SMEs and to provide solutions to the nation's workforce. When it comes to SMEs, that means you are talking about the nation's bloodline. You're talking about the nation's lifeline, because wherever there is a foundation for anything, there is a foundation for SMEs, for any economy.
Do you think that the macroeconomic policies and those gains that the federal government is saying, no, we are gaining, the economy is doing well, do you think it has translated into micro survival for businesses? Because I do know majority of businesses have closed. I do know that majority of businesses that employ like 5, 6, 7, 10 people are struggling. Here in Abuja, many people are even struggling with rent. I was speaking with someone was it on Monday? Also, yes, on Monday. She has a star. She employs people. Where she's staying, where she has a store somewhere in town, said she used to pay, I think, 1.5 million or 2 million. But now that the landlord says she should pay 10 million, and she's closing the store.
Yeah. So, of course, when you're talking about macroeconomic level, the indices are there for stability. So the figures are there. We have stable micro economic indices.
That's macro.
Macro. I'm talking about macro.
Yes.
But translating them into the micro is now a gradual process. You understand? Because you can't get the level of financing society without having the figures right. So now we have the stability right. So now our process is like, even last 2 weeks, I think the minister actually, have had a flagship of a program from the World Bank where SMEs will enjoy. And this is also commendable for the Tunubunics, as you mentioned, you understand, aspect of
economics. Yeah.
Yes. Then secondly, don't forget about the behaviors of corporate governance. Majority of SMEs, they have a working capital of maybe 1, 2, 3 months. But corporate bodies engages this particular SMEs. But with the agreement, they will pay them maybe 60 days. In the end, they will pay them after 180 to 200 days. And this will definitely make a lot of people walk away. So this behavior has to come down through so many processes. Maybe we'll have a relationship with the CBN that will have a law of escrow account. Let's say an automated escrow account, where when service is rendered, within 7 days, the corporate body should pay the money into a regulated account, escrow account at the CBN. Maybe 30 days, it will going to be automated and sent to the SMEs. You saw all this delay is already been fixed. Then, secondly, we are talking about another behavior that also causes that to, when you are talking about macro and micro, there is not going to be a coordination, because one arm cannot work alone and the other cannot work alone. For instance now, macroeconomic indices are really positive. Fiscal and monetary aspect, I'm talking about. Fiscal and monetary aspect.
No, but it depends on even the macro indices you're looking at.
Yes.
Because if you're talking of inflation is still double digits.
Yeah.
Employment, forget that it's at less than 5%. A lot of people are still unemployed in Nigeria and underemployed.
Yes.
If you're talking about the macro indices, perhaps we'll give it to the Central Bank of Nigeria in terms of FX reserves at about $52 billion, nearing $53 billion dollars. What else again is there? GDP growth rate, perhaps about 4%-ish, as it were, abroad. If you take a look at some other indices, Yoruba people will say, that is, it still remains small, make everything align.
Yeah.
So the connection is if we're saying, okay, we've stabilized, then how do we consolidate? As it were, how do we connect the macro to micro? Because if you take a look at small businesses, data shows it that small businesses in Nigeria, if they open, it takes them highest you'll be alive 5 years. So if you're a small business owner and you have done more than 5 years, you should give yourself kudos, because many businesses do not survive more than 5 years. And you see a lot of them. And in the last few years, perhaps because of also those reforms, many businesses have shut down. Many businesses are dead. I also do know that sometime, it was in 2024, so President Tinubu announced the 50 billion naira MSME for small businesses. The larger businesses also got larger amounts. So how do you connect the dots?
Yeah, we can connect the dots. Like, for instance, external reserve can also help. You know, external reserves are also for maybe major 3 activities. They are not just reserved like that. They are reserved for import.
Import cover for a few months.
Import cover, then FX, you know, then debt.
Which would help your naira?
Yes, definitely, debt. So now, import cover for particular this 52 is for almost 9 months.
Yes.
Import. So now we have the capacity, even if there is no dollar that is coming into Nigeria, we have the capacity of, managing our imports for almost 9 months, which is superb. So now the strategy is that while you are talking about import, there are some import-dependent SMEs. So why can't we, like, our priorities should be tailored towards this particular aspect? Then secondly, there are other SMEs that are really thriving, you know, like where we are talking about import-dependent SMEs are really having a problem. But when you're talking about export-dependent because of the exchange of the FX, so they can, because wherever you are gaining through the foreign dollars, you know, you have edge than who is gaining through the naira, actually. So, like, there are some activities like when you talk about businesses like agro businesses, because of local production and other stuff like that, they're also definitely thriving. But other activities... Are
they thriving within security?
Yeah, they're thriving
with inputs like fertilizers, extension services. I also do know that the Bank of Agriculture is doing a few things, because I've had the MD, I think, twice here on the program in the last few months to talk about interventions for farmers. But is it enough? Because if you're talking of even farmers, yes, let's talk about farmers. Well, farmers are also different from agri-business owners. You have millions of them.
Okay.
Because if you say they're thriving, it will show at the point we are buying food.
Let's say we have 42 million SMEs. You understand? We can use the capital market. We can regulate them, and let's say we'll take 1% of 42 million people and list them. Then we raise capital. When you raise capital, let's say each one...
How do you list them? Would they...
With the help of SEC,
yes,
with the help of...
I know, but you have listing rules that are very stringent. The majority of these SMEs will not meet. Have it in mind, the majority of our SMEs are MSMEs, nano, micro, small businesses.
Nano, yeah.
Yes, are informal. You know they are not formalized, right?
They are not.
And CSC have even deregistered a lot of them.
Yes.
So how do you get those people to list on the exchange?
Yeah, the issue is that you can formalize them through the processes. Like, for instance, now, government can do productive levy. Recently, LCC announced 3-point-something trillion, you know. MTN announced nearly 3 trillion profits, you understand?
Yes.
But the majority of these announced profits are nominal. They are not real, because some deductions are there, you know. There are nominal figures and there are real figures. They are not the net, talking about. So what happened is that let us tax them like 1%.
That is the companies?
Yes, okay. Productivity levy. Okay. 1%, you know, maybe from all the telecoms, 1%. Then this 1% will be channeled to really generate a lot of money to help these SMEs.
Okay, so that's a recommendation from you.
Yeah, that is also a recommendation. Yes.
Because if you take a look at it, they will say they are already abundantly taxed. Because
yes.
Even with Taiwo tax reforms, companies now will just pay like 4% development levy, they called it, instead of Naseni, police, and all of that.
Yes.
Everything comes under 4%, apart from the CIT, company income tax, which they will pay.
Yes.
So what you're proposing is it only to telecoms or companies in Nigeria?
Well, not
productivity levy.
Productivity levy.
And so let's start with those funds to.
Yes, let's start with that. 1% of 3 trillion is how much? It's enough of money, maybe 30 billion thereabout. So you see, so we can also channel those monies into like crediting eligible SMEs, because some of the SMEs are almost 70% of the SMEs are informal.
So do you think
they are not registered?
Do you think that?
And if there is no credit, if you don't have a collateral and you don't have any credit history, nobody can give you any money. So we can also create like passports for SMEs. When you have credit history, when you pay, when you have like escrow payment batch to you, that one can also serve as a data. So data can review the risk for bank. Then you can present that card to bank, and then bank can give you loans at lower rate. You get what I mean? We can convert data into a collateral, since majority of them don't have collateral. And nobody can face bank without any collateral and without any data.
So what's the role of DFIs, Development Finance Institutions, the BOAs, the BOIs, the DBNs in all of this? Because the idea of even establishing those institutions, productivity, you know, let the business or the MSME space also expand. They are doing what they can do. Some of them are not so recapitalized, apart from the BOA and the BOI that President Tinubu announced recapitalization, I think last year or so. But it's still a work in progress.
Yes.
So with this your intervention now, with this your recommendation, what's the role of DFIs then?
Well, you know, we have...
And who will handle that 1% that you're talking about?
That is another thing, coordination. All the institutions, there's going to be a coordination actually, because we have almost all the institutions there, but coordination is the problem. Like for instance now, we are talking about merging of budgets to, you know, budget office, national planning, and maybe Minister of Finance office. So you see, we need a coordination in almost all the activities. We have everything in place. Nigeria has a lot of laws that are there. We have smart people that are there. We have the opportunities are there. What matters is the mindset. It's mindset.
Do you think mindset's okay from the government, right?
Yeah, from all the stakeholders.
Including
from the business.
MSMEs?
Yes. Yes.
Do you think it's access to finance that is only our problem? Or perhaps the biggest constraint is that of power? Because you're seeing hours and hours of power outages a year, forcing many small businesses to spend money on generating their own power. So what's the role of high cost of doing business narrative in, you know, in this SME's discussion?
Yeah, well, one of the things we have is this NPR, you know, the 26.5% of the NPR, you know, is a bit high, you know. So why can't we have a window under this NPR where SMEs are going to have lower
interest rates?
Lower interest rate. You understand? We should have a window for them so that maybe from now to 5 years, if there are eligible SMEs, so the NPR should be so amount. It shouldn't be generic for all the businesses. But for SMEs, we should have a window where because
where the banks can now record that
for now, if the MPR is 26.5%, then from the bank we're going to be almost 30-something, because they will add their risk as well as their operational OPEX. So thereby adding like 8 to let's say 6% to it. Then another thing is SDF. That SDF is also attracting liquidity to CBN.
That's the deposit facility you're talking about.
Deposit facility. You understand? So if of course, if CBN is really, because of course, banks will rather go to CBN and deposit their money at less risk.
At less
you understand, and then they will get like 1% or 1.5% in the end of the day.
These your two recommendations. I think we'll still interrogate it. It's interesting.
Yes,
because
it's interesting.
The MPR, I'm wondering how it will work in terms of we already have a very slow and tepid monetary policy transmission, then adding another one to it. But I also hear you, because, for example, we have CR of 45% for DMBs,
exactly.
16% for merchant banks.
Exactly.
So can the central bank or the monetary policy rate committee work on a rate for businesses? That's interesting.
Exactly.
Let's see how it goes. Anyway,
Yes.
I know that they are listening, though. So,
Yes.
Let's see. Thank you very much for coming
Thank you
on
so
today's
much.
edition of the program. I've been speaking with Engineer Abdullahi Hashim, the Chief Executive Officer of Cubicle Vertex Solutions, a policy expert. And we're looking at MSMEs. Two interesting recommendations. Let's see how it goes. That's the much we can take on today's edition of the program. Thank you all for watching. For everyone that has been sending me birthday messages, my phone is agog. Thank you very much. I'll see you all again next time. Be the best you can be the change that you want to see. I am Nancy Naji. Bye for now.
AIT, sharing the African experience.
My name's Jung Gwonjong. I'm the boss of this entire hotel. My duties include heavy lifting, spreading happiness, and driving fancy cars.
I'm responsible for the area by the hotel entrance.
And I officially moved into the sunroom.
You think you can cut my share of the rent?
Say what? You're a maniac.
Most of the time, our lives are lackluster. You add all the brilliant moments, or what we call miracles. Welcome.
As the master of the Cave Light Gem, you should understand that.
So when Sho got his injury in that great battle 600 years ago.
That was when he used all of his strength to devour chaos. But now it eats at him. To keep his true form from eroding, we use the seal sword to stabilize it. But in recent times, his dragon form has started to falter. As the newly anointed Gem Master, are you ready to take on this responsibility? This thing is called a Mornaiha. The time prison is composed of countless Mornaihas.
I must figure out this riddle.
Hello and welcome to The Eagle.
Here at the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, training is not taken lightly.
A program that comes away from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC.
Hello, dear viewer. Your incisive educational anti-corruption program, The Eagle, which comes up on Thursdays 9 a.m., is now airing by 11 a.m. same Thursday every week. Stay tuned for an exciting time with the EFCC.
My name is Moa. Remember it? You are.
She's stuck
over here.
This is a secret between the four of us.
The fried cake is so yummy.
Wow!
Moa did it!
I'm in so much. For Double Nine Festival homework, I'm gonna beat you. If your legs are starting to hurt, you should have a foot bath.
For nearly 3 decades, you trusted us with the story of our nation and beyond. Now, our political program gets a powerful upgrade. Welcome to the all-new Democracy Today Extra. We're shifting the gears of political broadcasting. No scripts, no spin, just the uncompromising truth.
Is there true democracy in political parties in Nigeria?
Adiza, why are we so obsessed with whether governors will use police against their opponents or even the president? Why?
Get ready. In-depth, no holds barred interviews.
Reserve seats when it eventually comes to stay is not the destination.
How do we safeguard the will of the people?
If a governor wants to intimidate you with the current police that we have, they will intimidate you. They don't need state police to intimidate anybody.
Fearless analysis, unfiltered facts.
The legislature is the fulcrum upon which democracy evolves.
We're beaming the ultimate searchlight on political actors, holding power accountable every single weekend. 10 p.m. Nigerian time on Saturdays and Sundays. Bold, analytical, uncompromising. The Democracy Today Extra every single weekend. 10 p.m. Nigerian time on Saturdays and Sundays.
It hurts me really bad because I see the woman that I love drift apart, far and far. It was never my intention to divorce you. Please, I swear to God, I would never cheat on you again. I swear.
I haven't been entirely honest with you.
Baby, listen to me. Even if you have been cheating on me, I don't care.
No.
I deserve it.
I'm not cheating. I will never cheat.
I will do everything in my power to change. I will do everything to be prudent. If not for anything, but because of our future.
I know. I promise to be respected. Let you handle the issues henceforth.
I hope you know what you're doing. In the bid to get a new son, don't lose the one you have.
Life, like an unending ocean.
Aki, you have blood on your head.
Do not forget to come back with the document, even if you have to kill, steal, or destroy.
Young man, leave my office.
Please, tell our children who this boy is.
Don't be carried away by my beauty.
AIT, sharing the African experience.
According to Scott Allen, a British speaker and an author, an infrastructural project is said to be completed when it continually serves the people and the purpose it was meant for. End of quote. Scott Allen's quotation above surely captures the gravity of abandoning public infrastructure even when funds might have been provided for its completion. Imagine a society where everything works. Infrastructural projects like roads, hospitals, electricity, pipe-borne water, and even stable internet connectivity budgeted by the government are not left dilapidated or abandoned. That's an ideal society, and that is what we want for our country. Hello, and thank you for joining us on another episode of The Eagle from the stables of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. My name is Aisha Muhammad, your host. Think about the many uncompleted roads and public buildings like hospitals, schools, and other social facilities rotting away in our country today. That is your tax money wasting away. This abandoned project leaves society in a dilemma, with citizens struggling with a failing level of infrastructural decay. Today, our focus is on how the EFCC is addressing issues of abandoned projects in Nigeria. But before we dive deep into today's episode, let's visit our newsroom for recent happenings in the Commission. The European Union, EU, has reaffirmed its commitment to strengthening its partnership with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, particularly in the areas of anti-corruption, cybercrime, training, and financial crime investigation and prosecution. The EU ambassador to Nigeria, Gautier Mignat, stated this in Abuja when he led a delegation on a courtesy visit to the corporate headquarters of the EFCC. Stressing the strategic importance of the EFCC and the basis for partnership with the Commission, he stated that the role of the EFCC is so important for the EU, both for the stability and prosperity of Nigeria and EU nations. He emphasized that the partnership has over time built investor confidence in the country. Amaka Ekeng tells us more.
Gautier Mignot expressed satisfaction with the long-standing partnership between the EU and the EFCC, which he said had existed since the Commission's establishment, noting that the relationship had continued over the years, particularly through the rule of law and anti-corruption program. He assured that the EU remained committed to continuing the partnership and supporting efforts to strengthen the EFCC's institutional capacity, improve investigative effectiveness, and enhance prosecution.
The courtesy visit to His Excellency the President, and both sides agreed on the necessity to really get our partnership to another level, and we hope that Mr. President will soon pay a first official visit to Brussels, to headquarters. And as you know, we are Nigeria's first trade and investment partner. In terms of cooperation together with the member states.
He further stressed that the EU had ongoing actions aimed at supporting the fight against cybercrime, describing the issue as a priority for the EFCC in view of its growing prevalence. He disclosed that the EU had proposed training for EFCC personnel on the Cybercrime Response Center, with the modalities of the training still being worked out. While congratulating the EFCC on its efforts in the fight against corruption and cybercrime, the EU envoy added that the EU was also strengthening its support for anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism compliance. Responding, Executive Chairman of the EFCC, Ola Olukoyede, described the Commission as Nigeria's foremost anti-corruption agency, responsible for coordinating the investigation and prosecution of financial crimes in the country. Olukoyede said the Commission had, over the years, continued to work towards ridding the country of economic and financial crimes, noting that it had recently recorded significant progress in the fight against cybercrime and terrorism financing.
We have a good relationship with the EU. Permit me to also thank you for the support giving us through the ROLAC down in Nigeria. We have very good relationship with ROLAC. They've been supporting us, particularly in the area of manpower.
The Court of Appeal Lagos Division has affirmed the judgment of the Federal High Court Lagos, ordering the final forfeiture of over 293.97 million naira, multiple landed properties and investment assets linked to a retired military officer, Major General Emmanuel J.B. Atewe, to the federal government of Nigeria. In a unanimous judgment read by Justice Bolo Kuromo Moses Ugo, the appellate court dismissed Atewe's appeal against the judgment of Justice Chukwujeku Aneke of the Federal High Court, which granted the application of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) for the final forfeiture of the assets. The forfeited assets include the sum of 293,097,000 naira, MTN-linked unit in Stanbic IBT Asset Management Limited, several high-value properties in Abuja, including plots of land at Jahi, Saban Lugbe, Kuje, as well as a commercial property in Yenagua, Bayelsa State. Chinonso Alexander Eni has the details.
The Commission traced the assets to funds reasonably suspected to be proceeds of unlawful activities. Investigations pointed to the diversion of money released for the operations of the Joint Task Force Operation Pulo Shield. In the investigations by the EFCC, about 8.537 billion released to the Joint Task Force was allegedly diverted through a network of companies and individuals acting as proxies. The investigation further established that billions of naira were transferred to companies for services that were never rendered, with portions of the funds subsequently used to acquire various assets allegedly linked to Atewe through companies associated with him. The Federal High Court had earlier granted an interim forfeiture order before making it final, after holding that Atewe failed to satisfactorily explain the legitimate source of the assets. Dissatisfied with the judgment, Atewe appealed, arguing, among other grounds, that the forfeiture proceedings were incompetent because he was entitled to the protection of Section 123 of the Armed Forces Act, that the proceedings ought not to have commenced while criminal charges against him were pending, and that the trial court lacked jurisdiction to entertain the application. However, the Court of Appeal resolved all three issues in favor of the EFCC. Consequently, the Court of Appeal dismissed the appeal for lacking merit and affirmed the judgment of the Federal High Court, ordering the final forfeiture of the assets to the federal government.
The Lagos Zonal Directorate 2 of the Commission has handed over the sum of 108 million naira to a company, Karen Walters Attorneys in Lagos. The money paid by bank draft formed part of the funds recovered by the Commission during an investigation into an alleged case of abuse of office, forgery, theft, and diversion involving two former employees of the company. Again, Chinonso Alexander Eni is our guide.
Investigation revealed that the suspects, Nkechi Gladys Megai, who is currently at large after fleeing the United Kingdom, and Godson Eze, a former chief financial officer, abused their positions by forging documents, creating fake invoices in the names of the company's legitimate vendors, and diverting funds through fraudulent transactions carried out over a period of time. The investigation also revealed that the fraudulent payments ran into several hundreds of millions of naira. At the handover ceremony, the acting zonal director of the Lagos Zonal Directorate 2 of the EFCC, Assistant Commander of the EFCC ACE-1 Bawa Usman Katungo, reaffirmed the Commission's commitment to ensuring that victims of economic and financial crimes get justice, and in some cases where stolen funds and assets are involved, are restituted to the victims. Katungo also disclosed that efforts are ongoing to ensure that all persons connected with the fraud, including those who have fled the country, are brought to justice in accordance with the law. The company's legal representatives, while receiving the bank draft, expressed appreciation to the EFCC for its painstaking investigation, professionalism, and commitment to recovery of the stolen funds. They also assured the Commission that the recovered money would go a long way towards mitigating the losses suffered by the company. I am Chinonso Eni, Reporting for the Eagle.
Abandoned project is not just a failure, it is a financial crime. And that is why the EFCC is shining its searchlight on this failed contract by bringing fraudulent contractors and individuals responsible for the delay and abandonment of this infrastructural project to book. Let's cross over to our interview segment where Miracle Chukwu Agoziem is standing by with our guest. Now over to you, Miracle.
Think about the many uncompleted roads and buildings rotting away in our country today. That is your tax money wasting away. These are Nigerians' abandoned projects. Yet, the contractors walk away, leaving citizens to suffer. Since 2003, the EFCC has fought financial crimes. Today, the Commission is shining a bright light on these failed contracts. In this episode, I have with me the acting head, project monitoring from the Department of Fraud Risk Assessment and Control, DFRAC, ACA2, Olawale Timothy Oweye. You will find out how the EFCC is tracking these thieves and getting back our money. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
So the topic of discussion is addressing issues of abandoned projects in Nigeria. The EFCC, the establishment of the EFCC started in 2003, and the aim was to stop financial crimes, economic and financial crimes. How does the EFCC define an abandoned project by law? Is it just a mistake by the builder, or stealing from the public?
The EFCC, together with the Public Infrastructure Guidelines, sees project abandonment as both economic and breach of contract. What do I mean? A project is considered abandoned when construction or implementation stops before its completion. The agreed completion period, or the contractor leaves the site before the completion without any adequate reasons. And not just leaving the site, but allowing the infrastructure, the public infrastructure, to deteriorate over time, which at the end of the day, you don't have accountability, there's no transparency, and there's no value for the public fund that is already budgeted for or disbursed for such projects over time.
From what you said and from your work, where does the cheating usually start? Does it happen when the contract is awarded, or with the first money paid, or while the work is being done?
Abandonment of project or abandoned project can occur at every stage of procurement processes, whether at the initial stage of project planning, project designing, procurement processes, post-procurement, whereby the work starts on site, contractor moving to site, or without adequate funding. So it can occur at any stage whatsoever in the procurement process and in the execution of such project.
How does the EFCC, track down contractors who run away with billions of naira meant for projects?
Contractors have addresses, they have corporate names. You can collaborate with sister agencies such as Corporate Affairs Commission to know the local standing of such contractors, to know how healthy even the company was. Not only that, the financial institutions are there to aid your investigation. You get information on the corporate entity through the various banks. You swing further into action by doing your forensic audits. What do I mean by forensic audit? You check the books, you inspect the projects, you review the contracts, you check the payment records to verify how the public funds are being utilized. Not only that, you can trace the assets. When you trace the assets, if they are linked to conversion of the contracts funds, you can link them up, you can establish a case to them, and you can consult a competent court of jurisdiction to get court order to enable you to freeze such assets. Peradventure, the funds are still in the bank accounts. You can get court orders as well to freeze the funds. So by so doing, before you know it, there will be a return. Not only a return, the contractor will not be the one looking for you and know you looking for the contractor in this instance. And you can take a step further when you establish your cases through the forensic audit you've done, the monitoring and evaluation at the project site. You can then start your investigation. And in your investigation, you have to gather your evidence, relevant evidence, sufficient evidence that can drive home a case in court. And most times, most of this investigation leads to possible prosecutions. And when such contractors and their collaborators, who may be public officials in this instance, when they are arrested, they are interviewed, and evidence gathered against them can then be put together to prosecute them in court of competent jurisdiction. And whereby the funds have left the shore of the country, you can do interagency collaborations with other sister agencies for further documents and evidences to establish your case in court. And in court, if they are found culpable, they are prosecuted. Some are sentenced. Aside from being imprisoned, some are given fines, or both imprisonment and fines. So we should know that no contractor can escape the hook of the law.
The government made a procurement law to keep things, in an honest way. Despite that, we still have, so many abandoned projects in Nigeria.
The government is trying its efforts to curtail offenses, to curtail crime. But the enactment of laws like Public Procurement Act alone cannot give us a clean bill of health when it comes to abandoned projects. Why do I say this? When you look at your environment, you see things like corruption. Corrupt peoples are everywhere. Corrupt contractors are everywhere. Corrupt public officials are everywhere. Everyone is always out there to cut corners. But by so doing, we understand that that in itself can weaken the Public Procurement Act 2007. One, through corruption, public interference, poor project planning. We should understand that all that I've mentioned, we end up weakening the existing Public Procurement Act. In what sense? Corruption. There is political interference. This belongs to party A, that belongs to party B, all this party project thing. And you will discover that will also lead to poor project planning. You mobilize me 30%, I've given you 15% out of the mobilization fund. How then will I give you to specification of the project design? I will not. And most times too, while the project is ongoing, there are instances of inadequate funding from government. And you don't expect the contractor to go and use their money 100% to execute government projects. We've had instances whereby contractors use their funds, but yet they could not be paid. Part of it was the demonstration you see at the Federal Ministry of Finance some time ago. So we should know that we also, apart from inadequate funding, we should also watch out. We must monitor effectively. We must supervise the project as if it's a personal project.
The EFCC encourages Nigerians to look out for and report abandoned projects in their hometown or around them. How can citizens do that safely? And how do you protect people that, who exposes these abandoned projects and contractors?
So as citizens of this country, we must avoid confrontation. Confrontation in terms of the contractors, their workers, laborers on site don't engage with open confrontation. Just strategically get your evidence recorded on tape, do video, get the location on site, and if possible, if you have a GPS-enabled device, so that you can have both the latitude and the longitude of the place, so that if in future anybody is making issues out of nothing, you can easily pin down on the exact location you are reporting the abandoned project from. And we should also know that we should watch out for project boards. It's essential. The project name will be there, the name of the contractor, the name of the MDA executing the project, all these details, they are very necessary. And most of the times, you may even see duration of the contract written on the project board. All these evidences you must have gathered at those abandoned sites, you have to trickle it down, transmit it through the EFCC Eagle app. You can download that Eagle app through your Play Store, be it on iOS or Android phone. You can easily get it across on the spot, real time, and the Commission will appreciate your effort in that regard.
EFCC encourages Nigerians to look out for and, report abandoned projects in their hometown or around them. So how can citizens do this safely, without being harmed? And how do you protect people who expose these bad projects?
It's not in our place to put the contractor to jail. It's the responsibility of the court. Ours is to investigate to a logical conclusion, gather relevant and admissible evidences where necessary, where possible, so that when we go to courts, we know you will have your days with the court. And by coming to your first question, we investigate financial crimes. And you should know by now that EFCC is the coordinating agency of all economic and financial crimes in this country. So, and by so doing, our investigation takes diverse mode. It takes a diverse mode through financial investigation, forensic accounting, and our legal processes, where we go to court to get orders of the court, and we also review the contracts, we review payment records, bank transactions, and the company documentations. Because most of the times you discover that company A may be awarded the contract, and at the end of the day, the contract is being executed by company B, which are life scenarios we have come across several.
Thank you so much, ACE2 Olawale Timothy Iwoye. But before I let you go, what are your final words to those listening or watching us on this topic?
Thank you. My final message to the public is that everyone has a role to play in protecting public funds, ensuring government accountability when executing projects. We should own the project. This country belongs to all of us. And the citizens should not hesitate where they spot corruption. They should see something, say something, do something, share relevant information through the EFCC Eagle app, so that Nigeria can become a better society for us all. They should also monitor projects ongoing in their communities. They should not be like a dassica about it, because when the project is to serve purpose, the project was awarded to serve purpose, and when it's not serving purpose, the aim of that project is being defeated. So as a nation, as citizens of this nation, we should all collaborate with government to ensure that all projects see the light of the day, and all benefits that are to be derived from such projects are well reached to all nooks and crannies of our environment.
And that's where we draw the curtain on today's episode of The Eagle. We will be back next week with another interesting episode. Let's keep the conversation going by sending an email to info@efcc.gov.ng or call us on 0809 3322 644. Also follow us on Facebook, X and Instagram @official EFCC. If you notice or suspect any economic and financial crimes happening anywhere, anytime, simply use EFCC's mobile app, Eagle Eye, to report. Let me also invite you to a live discussion with EFCC on EFCC Connect happening on our X Spaces and Facebook every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Do you have burning questions to ask the EFCC? EFCC Connect is the right platform to do so. And also, listen to EFCC Radio 97.3 FM, the voices against economic and financial crimes. My name is Aisha Mohammed. Remember, combating this crime and prosecuting corrupt contractors and perpetrators involved in abandoned government projects cannot be achieved adequately by the EFCC alone. Play your role as a citizen. Report any verifiable financial and economic crime to the nearest EFCC office today, and rest assured that the Commission will do something about it. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your day, and God bless Nigeria.
AIT, sharing the African experience.
It hurts me really bad because I see the woman that I love drift apart, far and far. It was never my intention to divorce you. Please, I swear to God, I would never cheat on you again. I swear.
I haven't been entirely honest with you.
Baby, listen to me. Even if you have been cheating on me, I don't care.
No.
I deserve it.
I'm not cheating. I will never cheat.
I will do everything in my power to change. I will do everything to be prudent. If not for anything, but because of our future.
I know. I promise to be respected. Let you handle the issues henceforth.
AIT, sharing the African experience.
And now, let's join ace broadcaster Mamode Akuga as he takes us inside the Niger Delta.
Hello out there and welcome to the program. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Niger's oil-rich region. I'm your regular host, Mamode Akuga.
Inside the Niger Delta. Azikeo Group. Oil and gas, dredging, power and air transportation. Azikeo Group, petroleum product sufficiency, energy sustainability, and infrastructure development.
Cubana Millennium City, Asaba, a statement in luxurious living. Agriculture has historically been the backbone of the Nigerian economy. However, attention shifted to crude oil shortly before Nigeria's independence in 1960. Since then, the agricultural sector, which used to contribute about 60 to 70% of the country's gross domestic product, or GDP, has taken a back seat. In recent times, there have been increasing calls for diversification of the Nigerian economy, which heavily depends on crude oil for about 80 to 90% of its foreign exchange receipts. Among other things, President Bola Tinubu's administration sees the agricultural sector as one of the sectors that must be rejigged to serve Nigerians and positioned as a major producer of food and other agricultural resources. The Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, established to facilitate the overall development of the oil-producing region, is following in the footprints of Mr. President in investing in food availability and agriculture as a major provider of jobs and other opportunities for its people. The Dr. Samuel Ogbuku-led management is investing in different agricultural initiatives, including training, workshops, and to support small and medium-scale farmers to incentivize food production and the utilization of the fertile and favorable ecosystem of the region that supports different types of agricultural ventures. Just recently, the Commission, in partnership with the Office of the Vice President, held the Niger Delta Agricultural Development and Investment Summit, where a $500 million agricultural development and investment fund was established to drive an agricultural revolution in the oil-rich region. In this special package, we bring you an outline of the many agricultural programs of the Commission and how, starting from the grassroots, the NDDC is driving an agricultural revolution across the region in line with President Tinubu's food security drive.
Before crude oil became the backbone of Nigeria's economy, agriculture was the nation's main source of foreign exchange earnings. Northern Nigeria was renowned for its groundnut production, famously symbolized by the iconic groundnut pyramids in Kano State. It also thrived on cotton, hides and skins, and grains such as millet and sorghum. The western region was renowned for the production of cocoa, rubber, and timber, while the southern region was known for its flourishing palm industry, particularly palm oil and palm kernels, alongside rubber and cassava. Together, these agricultural commodities sustained livelihoods, drove regional development, and earned Nigeria substantial foreign exchange up until the 1960s. Notably, palm oil from present-day Akwa Ibom, Rivers, Cross River, Imo, and Abia states supplied industries across Europe. Nigeria's discovery of crude oil in Otuaba Geoloibre in 1956 shifted national attention completely away from not just palm production, but also agriculture. However, as global calls continue to grow for transition away from fossil fuels and towards more sustainable, diversified economies, the Nigerian government have also intensified efforts and interventions aimed at revitalizing agriculture as a major driver of economic growth, job creation, and food security. In the oil-rich Niger Delta, the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC), under the leadership of Governing Board Chairman Mr. Chiedu Ebie and Managing Director Dr. Samuel Ogbuku, is spearheading this transformation through a series of agricultural development and investment initiatives designed to unlock the region's vast agricultural potential, attract private investment, and improve the livelihoods of farmers. Just recently, the Commission, in collaboration with the Office of the Vice President, launched the Niger Delta Agricultural Development and Investment Fund and inaugurated the Coordinating Council for Agricultural Development and Investment in the Niger Delta. This is a platform that is expected to drive agricultural transformation, strengthen food production, create employment opportunities, and reduce the region's dependence on crude oil revenues. The initiative was unveiled during the Niger Delta Agricultural Development and Investment Summit in Abuja recently. It is designed to mobilize a $500 million investment fund to support sustainable agricultural development across the region. While the Coordinating Council will be domiciled in the Office of the Vice President, its secretariat will operate from the headquarters of the NDDC in Port Harcourt. The summit brought together traditional rulers, state governments, development partners, investors, and agricultural experts, all united by a common goal of repositioning agriculture as a catalyst for development in the Niger Delta. Speaking at the summit, Vice President Kashim Shettima described the initiative as an opportunity to bring government, investors, development partners, and the private sector together to unlock the agricultural potential of the Niger Delta.
The Niger Delta Agricultural Investment Fund of $500 million, which we launched today, is a commercial returns-driven vehicle spanning the value chain from aquaculture and palm oil to cassava, cocoa, rice, horticulture, marine resources, and livestock. Around it, we coordinate the commitments already pledged by the World Bank, the African Development Bank, the Islamic Development Bank, the European Bank for Development, and our private and commercial financiers. Above board stands the Niger Delta Agricultural Development and Investment Council, which I am honored to chair, with the NDDC as its secretariat. Beneath it lies a demand-side strategy, preparing bankable projects across all 9 mandates.
Earlier, the chairman of the governing board of the NDDC, Mr. Chiedu Ebie, reaffirmed the Commission's resolve to sustain the initiative.
This is then more than an initiative we're pleased to witness. It strengthens the work our Commission already carries out daily in every community across the mandate states. And so we do not just welcome it, we stand ready to carry it with the terrain we know, the relationships we have built, and our conviction that agriculture in this region must become a serious business, one that attracts capital, feeds agro-processing, and opens its doors to our youths, our women, and our cooperatives, not as beneficiaries or charity, but as owners of opportunity.
While for the Managing Director, Dr. Samuel Obuku, hosting the summit in Abuja was a deliberate strategy to engage investors capable of supporting large-scale agricultural development in the Niger Delta.
But we have to bring this event to Abuja because we are looking for funds. Let us make it easy for the stakeholders, those who have the money, to attend, and not for them to give us excuses. So for the fact that we are looking for this fund, we have to come to them. And when we get this fund is going to be commercially managed. It's going to be a commercially managed vehicle that will fund opportunities across the various value chain of agricultural investment and development.
He added that investment alone would not be enough without the supporting infrastructure needed to move agricultural produce efficiently, noting that projects such as the nearly completed Ka-Ataba Bridge would improve access to farming communities and markets. Keynote speaker Prince Joseph Samuel emphasized the importance of creating structured agricultural markets capable of coordinating production, processing, and demand across the region.
If you organize and put structure to market and build a large organized market, what will happen is that will pull demand. It will pull capital, and of course, we can begin to make the right transformation. So people talk about infrastructure, we talk about supply of tractors, we talk about a number of stuff. I say every day that we have done this years on years and years again.
Other stakeholders, including representatives of the investment community, traditional institutions, and host communities, also commended the Commission for providing a platform to attract private sector participation in agriculture.
I think it's quite instructive that the people of the Niger Delta are blessed beyond just oil resources. They have agricultural resources which has been untapped. what this does is to marshal capital to that sector of the regional economy to ensure that that sector begins to develop, giving them multiple streams of income and making lives better. Of course, it also means that the agricultural industry in that segment of the country develops, it really kicks off, because the approach is to bring blended capital, blended finance into the agricultural sector of the Niger Delta. So I think it's a plus for that region.
It's been a long time coming because there's so much that the Niger Delta can do for Nigeria's economy. The Niger Delta also has quite a number of very youthful population, and it's very important that we tap into the youth as they are now. They can serve as both business owners and as consumers. This program has been very fruitful in terms of trying to find different avenues for investment, and one key thing that has come up is that there is no lack of finance. An important thing is that the businesses within the Niger Delta need to be ready, need to have proper structures, proper governance, and then the money will follow.
Area, as you know, Nigeria imports huge quantities in millions of dollars of ocean products, fisheries, and other related products. So the Niger Delta will be the ideal breadbasket when it comes to blue economy fisheries products, to do import substitution for what we import, and that preserves our foreign exchange, and that gives us the opportunity to have an inbuilt capacity to satisfy our marine and fishery needs in Nigeria.
For the NDDC, the summit represents only one part of its broader agricultural initiatives. Over the years, the Commission has continued to invest in programs aimed at sustaining farmers, improving agricultural productivity, and creating sustainable livelihoods across the Niger Delta. One of such initiatives is its partnership with the Livelihood Improvement Family Enterprises in the Niger Delta, better known as LiveND, implemented in partnership with the federal government and the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD. The program supports youths and women in enterprises such as cassava, palm oil, cocoa, plantain, poultry, and fish farming. The Livelihood Improvement Family Enterprises project for the Niger Delta operated for its first 5 years with only 6 Niger Delta states, including Abia, Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta, Edo, and Ondo states. However, it was later expanded to accommodate Akwa Ibom, Imo, and Rivers as part of a $30 million financing commitment by the NDDC, creating opportunities for thousands of beneficiaries in the oil-rich region. Across training centers in the 3 states, beneficiaries continue to express satisfaction for the intervention.
So the program is very beneficial to us because all of us here, we're vulnerable. So LiveND has made us to be very independent, and then with this we'll be able to impact the society and the economy at large.
Well, I'm quite grateful to NDDC because a lot of people did not have this opportunity that we just got now, and all through the training we've achieved so much knowledge, so much. Our incubator, from his wealth of knowledge, he has really impacted a lot of knowledge concerning this aquaculture to us. So I'm very, very happy, and I'm thankful to NDDC and LiveND program.
We thank the organizers of this project, NDDC, Lifeline, state government, and the IFAD. They have done noble. They made us to have something doing, when before we have nothing doing. But today, we are grateful that we can boast. In short, we are millionaires today as a result of this very project. I say more grace to their able.
Since I've been powered by NDDC since December, I think I've become more happier than I used to be. Because this business, like I said before, this business has given me a name. I am now known as Onowu Fisheries, where people come and enjoy the soup every evening.
So I am very happy. I thank NDDC and Life ND for their efforts and every other thing they have done in order to make youths to enjoy themselves.
The program has been wonderful. It's something I will appeal. Let the program be sustained because it's a wonderful program and it's helping putting food on one's table. And I would like it to continue because I want my brothers and my sisters to benefit after me. I want the program to be sustained.
Community leaders in places such as Ezingbidi in Imo State say the program is already improving livelihoods and strengthening local economies.
In fact, many people today, the jobless ones are no more jobless. The people that have been roaming about are no more roaming about. They now have something doing. And that is why we are so much grateful, so much happy that we get. If a minute program has come like this, and the palace was asked to establish, to organize, at the end of it, nothing happens. But this one, to our greatest surprise, something started happening. Do you know that most of the people that we are giving the empowerment, they did very well. I personally visited their farms, and I saw that they were did very well. And after that, when the second batch we were asked to arrange for the second batch. In fact, the whole palace was filled up. Under the space of 6 hours, there was no stress. People came because they saw what happened at the first batch.
I gave them 100 Noila beds. I can tell you that I still have my 100 Noila complete. This shows that they know what they are actually doing, that they have learned, and that is my satisfaction. Now they are okay, and they are about to go out and establish their own farm. So I appreciate the NDDC, I appreciate the Life ND for bringing up this program, especially for them, because most of them, they had nothing doing, they were just in the village. But now, they have skills that they can stand on their own.
Beyond Life ND, the Commission has continued to implement specialized agricultural training programs. In Abia State, more than 300 farmers from across the 9 Niger Delta states received training in commercial rice production and processing, agribusiness management, and entrepreneurship before receiving starter packs to establish their own businesses.
We, the Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria, Abia State chapter, the rice processors, we are all happy. We are saying a big, great thank you to them to give us this opportunity to learn, to acquire more knowledge for the one that we have. We say that God will bless them. It's not only we that are here that are going to utilize it. We are going to call for workshop and train all our farmers that are not here too. We are going to have a demonstration farm that we are going to collect all our money, invest in that farm, so that at the end of the day we will invite them to come and see what they impact on us.
This program is very, very impactful for me because I've been looking for this kind of opportunity for 3 years now, being a practical farmer. And I've been trying to see how to get government, my state government, to support me so that I can come for this kind of program, but the opportunity has not been given to me. But NDDC has recognized me and they have given me this chance to come to learn and to build on my rice. So I'm very, very grateful for NDDC. At
Okemute Farms in Delta State, another group of participants underwent intensive training in livestock farming and agro-processing, covering poultry, piggery, and goat rearing.
By God's grace, we've learned a lot. A lot of knowledge has been impacted on us, and we believe that it's a process of getting us to do the best we can in animal husbandry and production. We appreciate NDDC for all that they have done, and we want to say this is a very good quantum leap into ensuring that unemployment is given to the youths and women.
I want to say a very big thank you to NDDC. I've been trained for the past 2 weeks, and first of all, the first thing I learned is have a very personal relationship with God. I call it the 3 Gs. First of all, a very personal relationship with God. Secondly, a drive for growth. And thirdly, make sure that your gifts make way for you. They taught us that it's one thing to be committed and it's another thing to make progress. You can be making movements, but you are not progressing. So from that, I've been able to realize that we have to impact what we have learned to other youths.
And before, I have a farm, that a piggery farm, which I have issue. And what I learned for this thing about the piggery, I will not lose any piggery again because the piggery farm I have about 350 piggery, which caused me the swine fever that caused around. It affected me so much. And thanking NDDC for bringing this initiative to learn how to get all this thing good for you, and appreciating them very well.
The Regional Intervention Agency has also introduced collaborative farming initiatives where host communities provide farmland while the NDDC supplies improved seedlings, mechanized equipment and technical support to boost food production. At the inaugural harvest of the Rice and Cassava Farmers Empowerment Program in Warake, Edo State, officials of the NDDC described the program as an initiative aimed at ensuring food security and production.
3,000 hectares of rice and 1,500 hectares of cassava. That's what this program is about. And that will bring it back to engaging 4,500 smallholder farmers as well. Because the way the program is designed, one farmer is supposed to manage a hectare. So this is a dream come true. For this Wareke community, we have we prepared 90 hectares.
First of all, I want to say a big thank you to NDDC for the effort that they are making to curtail this issue of food insecurity. We want to be part of those that are providing food for the country, apart from Edo State. It's shameful that a community, a state like Edo State, will be waiting for food to come from the north, which is it's absurd. It's unheard of. With the vast lands that we have, very fertile land that does not even need fertilizer, we want to appeal to NDDC to look for how they will expand this program. No matter the expanse of land that they need for this project, we will be able to provide it for them.
Warake have vast of land. The land is not issued to Warake, as God has made it. And we are ready to give you more land. And you people should start in time. The Ogiabasete should tell you that they are with you. Anytime, any day, anywhere, we are with you to support you. And the farmers, the Niger Delta Farmers Association who are part of it, we want them to give them motivation.
To strengthen agricultural value chains, the Commission is also investing in rice processing facilities in Rivers and Akwa Ibom states, with the aim of supporting commercial processing and reducing post-harvest losses.
We want people that will grow rice here, process the rice here, and give us the Niger Delta rice. That is the instruction of Dr. Samuel Obu.
From attracting major investment to empowering local farmers, building partnerships and supporting agricultural value chains, the Niger Delta Development Commission says it is laying the foundation for a more productive agricultural economy across the region. While the journey towards restoring the Niger Delta's place as a major agricultural hub may take time, stakeholders believe that sustained investment, modern farming practices, and stronger public-private partnerships could help unlock the region's enormous potential. And as more communities embrace agriculture, not simply as a way of life, but as a viable business, there is growing optimism that the Niger Delta can once again become a leading force in Nigeria's agricultural future.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Investments and efforts to ensure that we boost agriculture in the Niger Delta. That exactly is what we mean when we say Niger Delta beyond oil. Well, that's the size of our package on the program for today. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. We'll be back same time, same station next week. Until then, you can follow us on our social media handles showing right now on your screens. And please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at NDNTV Nigeria. Until next week, I am Mahmoud Akuga thanking you for tuning in. Bye for now.
AIT, sharing the African experience.
TerraCube. Unwrap joy, unleash taste. In Biggie's house, there's no place to hide. And even when you think no one is watching, the energy can swing in an instant. This BB Niger Season 11, everything burns brighter. Only the biggest moves tip the scale, because nothing is given, but everything is for the taking. When the world watches, will you be outshined, or will you step up and take the spotlight? Big Brother Niger Season 11 starts Sunday, July 26th, showing 24/7 on DSTV Channel 198 and GoTV Channel 49. Headline sponsor, Bet Power.
AIT, sharing the African experience.
Ukraine hits 2 Russian oil refineries in attack. Brazil probe plots to carry out election attacks. And Taiwan begins military drills as China pressure grows. Thank you so much for joining us on the World News. My name is Sadia Tudusumu. Welcome. Now we begin the news from Ukraine, where President Zelensky says the country's military has hit 2 Russian oil refineries in long-range attacks. Zelensky says the refineries in Boska and Yaroslavl were hit in Yaroslavl. Huge clouds of black smoke were seen over the city. Russia's regional governor in calls it the largest ever attack by enemy drones, saying 92 drones have been destroyed, with 3 homes, a car catching fire across Russia. The military says it has intercepted and destroyed 605 Ukrainian drones in multiple regions, including Yaroslavl. Ukraine has launched a series of strikes on Russian infrastructure in recent weeks, including refineries and warehouses in Ukraine. That's according to officials. 3 people have been killed in a Russian drone attack in a residential area, with another 2 killed in a railway station. Taiwan's largest military drills in the year began Wednesday as the island democracy attempts to prepare its population for a potential Chinese invasion. The annual Hang Kang exercise, which runs from August 5 to 14, stage combat scenarios for troops and reservists to practice responding to an attack on the island. That's according to defense officials of the country.
Civilians will also be put through their paces during exercises that include a temporary slowdown of mobile internet speeds, as well as air raid drills. China claims Taiwan is part of its territory and has threatened to use force to seize the island of 23 million people. Beijing has ramped up military pressure on Taiwan in recent years, deploying fighter jets and warships around the island on an almost daily basis and carrying out large-scale drills. The Chinese Coast Guard has also stepped up its gray zone activities, actions that fall short of war around Taiwan and its outer islands. On Wednesday, dozens of reservists spread out along a beach facing the Taiwan Strait and fired Taiwanese major assault rifles at targets on a shore where Chinese forces could land during an invasion. At a school playground in Taipei, reservists practiced loading mortars and handling M4A1 rifles. Navy vessels, including a submarine, were deployed in southern Taiwan, while tanks and other armored vehicles conducted pre-dawn maneuvers on the streets of the central city of Taichung. Black Hawk helicopters were also seen flying in the sky above Kaohsiung.
Myanmar's ex-junta chief Min Aung Hlaing met with Thailand's Prime Minister in Bangkok on Thursday, his first visit to the neighboring nation as a civilian leader, as he seeks a return to diplomatic fold for his parent states. As a general, Min Aung Hlaing led a 2021 military coup that ousted democratic leader Aung San Suu Kyi, triggering a civil war estimated to have killed more than 100 people on all sides. He was installed as Myanmar's president in April following stage-managed elections that democracy watchdogs and Western nations called a sham, intended to launder the junta's image. Thailand has since been leading an effort to normalize relations with Myanmar, both bilaterally and through the 11-Nation Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN. Thai Prime Minister said his discussions with Min Aung Hlaing at Bangkok's Government House on Thursday was an opportunity to push cooperation. The Myanmar leader said he hoped to have frank discussions about social-economic relations. He also said his new government was working towards democracy and stability in Myanmar, as well as prioritizing the restoration of normal relations with ASEAN. Oman is facing an impending environmental catastrophe as an alleged Russian shadow fleet tanker leaks off oil across hundreds of square kilometers near a nature reserve. That's according to NGOs. The ship was rocked by explosions. Maritime security told reporters that the cause of the blast is still unclear.
Russia has built up a ghost fleet of old ships with opaque ownership to get around Western sanctions since its 2022 Ukraine invasion, and experts have said the vessel's poor condition increases the risk of oil spills. Satellite imagery verified by AFP showed what appeared to be an oil slick spreading from a ship that has been stranded for over a month near Al-Kibia Island off Oman's southern coast. It is far from the Strait of Hormuz, which has seen regular tanker attacks in the Middle East. She warned of a severe and long-lasting consequence. Greenpeace said the oil sheen had expanded from up to 20 square kilometers on July 24 to an estimated 600 on August 4, according to satellite imagery it reviewed. Environmental open source investigator Wim Wiedenberg from Dutch peace organization PAX gave the same estimate for the August 4 sheen. Kepler data show that the Caroline Bezengi, which is believed to be the ship leaking off Oman, loaded 1 million barrels of crude oil at the Russian Black Sea terminal of Shekaris on May 11. It still had the oil when its last signal was recorded a month later. Last year, Oman established a marine reserve around the Al-Halaniyat Island, which include Al-Kabilia and a home to diverse marine life, including rare sea turtles. The International Maritime Organization told AFP it was currently offering assistance to Oman without providing further details on the incident. Oman did not respond to an AFP request for comment.
A severe heat wave has changed the currency of coal in Seoul's affluent district of Gangnam. Access to air conditioning now defines the line between the haves and the have-nots. But on the million-dollar luxury apartments chilled by wailing air conditioners, tenants in one of the Seoul's last shanty towns suffered headaches in the savage heat.
Said one resident of Goyang village, a settlement of crude wood and tarpaulin, shacks hosting around 160 households, according to officials, are saying it's so hot it's hard to breathe. The woman, asking to be identified by her surname, Joang, for privacy reasons, said she could not afford to cool the one-room home shared with her husband and disabled daughter. She said the poor are really suffering as temperatures outside soared up to 38 Celsius. South Korea is sweltering in a streak of serene weather. New all-time highs were set 3 times over the past week alone, peaking at 42.5 Celsius on Sunday. The capital was under a severe heat warning on Tuesday for the first time since the new category was introduced this year to alert citizens to increasing extremes. Scientists say volatile weather events are becoming more intense and frequent owing to climate change, which is man-made. But heat waves are not experienced equally across the wealth divide. In exclusive Gangnam, south of Han River, homes near the Goyang village sell for up to 5.4 billion won, equal to $3.7 million, and boasts all cutting-edge mud cones. 3 shaded boulevards are lined with flagship Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Rolls-Royce showrooms, as well as designer boutiques and Michelin-starred restaurant. Jung On-woo, who lives in one of the Gangnam's modern high-rises, has not found this summer particularly difficult. But in Gwangyang village, set among months of accumulated refuge, access to air conditioning or even a reliable supply of electricity is far from guaranteed. Ko Jong-ong, 87, has collected handheld battery-powered fans discarded by wealthier Seoul citizens, but found they provide little relief.
Iran says it has reached an agreement with Oman on the routes for shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Esmaila Bakwe did not give any further details on the agreement, which he said was in the final stages. Bakwe warned, however, that his deal with Oman would not guarantee safe navigation through the straits, arguing the security remained impacted by the U.S. blockade of Iran's ports. The United States and Oman have not commented on the proposal. Since the U.S. and Israel attacked Iran in February, Tehran has largely blocked the Strait of Hormuz, through which about 1/5 of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas usually passes. On Tuesday, U.S. President Donald Trump warned that Iran will hit very hard if Strait did not open very soon. His comments come after senior U.S. officials said talks had progressed to allow shipments to potentially resume later this week, though Iran has maintained that it is not negotiating with the U.S. and has no plans to do so. Reopening the strait has been a key point in discussions between the two countries and mediators. A University of Cambridge professor at the Center of Peregrine Row has resigned with immediate effect on Wednesday, with the university said he has launched an investigation into Professor Jessin Ande following new information about his academic qualifications and honorary appointments. Ande, who became the university's youngest ever black professor in 2023, has admitted errors in his work, but said he has faced an unrelenting level of public scrutiny and personal attack and was not a liar. This came after a series of media reports questioning some of his achievements and allegations of his PhD thesis. And they said he had concluded that the only way to bring this chapter to an end is to step away. In the statement posted by the Good Law Project on Wednesday, and they said that being appointed professor had been without question the greatest professional privilege of his life. But he added there comes a point when the personal cost becomes too great. He said his resignation should not be interpreted as a loss of faith in scholarship or in the values that first brought him to Cambridge. A crocodile basks in the sunshine on the roof of a submerged conference hall at a holiday resort in central Kenya, and a visible sign of how rising lake waters are endangering thousands of families and local businesses. Lake Baringo and other lakes in the Kenya's Rift Valley has risen to levels not seen in the last half of a century, with scientists attributing the surge to extreme rainfall linked to climate change.
Tens of thousands of people have been displaced to higher ground, according to official data. Yet many victims say the lakes keep following them. In 2011, when the lake recorded its first significant surge, Mary Milka Tiren, age 40, lost her husband after a hippo attacked him on his way home from his job at a popular tourist resort, which is now completely submerged. A decade later, her 9-year-old son spent 3 months in hospital after a crocodile attack, leaving a scar on his right arm. According to her, it wanted to rip off his whole arm from his shoulder, but he was rescued by his peers after a long struggle. She also said, "We've seen a rise in crocodile attacks, not because there are more crocodiles, but because the lake is now close to the homelands."
An Indian court has found former Italian magazine editor Tarun Tabal guilty of raping a former colleague, overturning his 2021 acquittal in a decade-old case. The girl bench of the Bombay High Court said it was convicting Tapal on the sections of Indian law pertaining to rape and sexual harassment. Now, this means Tapal faces a minimum punishment of 10 years in jail and a maximum of life imprisonment. He will be sentenced later on today. Tapal, who has consistently denied the accusations against him, can appeal against the verdict in a higher court. Chilean President Jose Antonio Cast will push Congress to approve legislative reforms to fight organized crime, he said during a national address on Wednesday, anchoring one of his chief campaign promises. Chile remains one of the safest countries in Latin America, despite a rise in murders and kidnappings in recent years, blamed on the arrival of foreign criminal groups such as Venezuela's.
Cast, the 60-year-old far-right lawyer, pledged to implement a major crackdown on crime and immigration when he took office in March. Chile announces reforms. The homicide rate hit 5.4 per 100,000 inhabitants in 2025, double what it was a decade ago. Cast announced he will call for a constitutional reform to formalize Chile's duty to safeguard its people's security. Doing so will allow us to have a much broader framework for action and more effective tools to combat crime. Belonging to a criminal organization will, in and of itself, be a crime with harsher penalties, Cast said. Cast also vowed to toughen penalties for criminal organizations that recruit minors. Faced with criticism for a lack of quick results on his crime crackdown, Cass requested the resignation of his former security minister, former prosecutor Trinidad Stainot, after just 69 days in office.
And now the federal government says Nigeria is shifting from traditional diplomacy to a more proactive, technology-driven foreign policy with the creation of a dedicated artificial intelligence and cyber diplomacy unit. The Minister of State for Foreign Affairs disclosed this in Abuja while declaring open the second seminar on anticipatory cyber and digital diplomacy. According to the minister, the new unit domiciled in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will coordinate Nigeria's engagement on emerging technologies and strengthen the country's role in global digital governance. He stressed that Nigeria must embrace anticipatory diplomacy by moving from reactive responses to forward-looking strategies powered by data, innovation and digital tools, noting that the lines between diplomacy, economy, security and technology are now blurred, making an integrated approach to foreign policy imperative.
Enhanced digital capabilities with our diplomatic service and deeper cooperation among government institutions, academia, technology experts, and international partners such as the United Kingdom. By enhancing AI, cyber capability, and digital statecraft, Nigeria can strengthen its diplomatic reach, enhance strategic communication, and better advance our national interest.
But we live at a time where, with the emergence of technologies like artificial intelligence, it's nearly impossible for us to ignore strong technology countries.
Today's seminar is framed by technological changes and emerging threats, which pose challenges to the rule of law and the prosperity of our countries, and indeed to geopolitical stability.
Ambassador Eniko Nolaye commended the British High Commission in Abuja for partnering the ministry to organize the seminar, describing the collaboration as a key contribution to innovation, capacity building, and international cooperation. The United States has announced charges against several high-ranking members of one of Mexico's most powerful drug cartels and increased reward money for the capture of its leader to more than $100 million. The indictments of the 5 members of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, known by its Spanish acronym CJANG, were unveiled at a press conference by Acting Attorney General.
CJNG was designated a foreign terrorist organization by the Trump administration last year and is accused of running an ultra-violent global network trafficking in drugs. In an announcement coinciding with the indictments, the State Department said it was raising to more than $100 million the total reward money for information leading to the arrest of top CJNG leaders, several of whom were indicted previously. Gonzalez allegedly took control of the cartel after the killing of his stepfather. Reward money ranging from $2 million to $15 million was offered for information, leading to the arrest of several other cartel leaders. In addition, the State Department says that it was imposing visa restrictions on 65 individuals who are family members or close personnel or business associates of CJNG-linked persons. The United States announced a slew of sanctions last month, targeting more than 50 Mexican individuals and entities allegedly with ties to CJNG. The sanctions targeted a wide range of individuals and companies that Washington says are linked to CJNG's leadership through business or family ties and that are used by the cartel to launder or conceal their assets. The killing sparked a wave of violence across Mexico, with the cartel setting up highway blockades and setting fires to vehicles and buildings in 20 of the country's 32 states. More than 70 people died, most in Jalisco.
Brazilian security officials said Tuesday they were investigating 8 suspects of plotting on Telegram to carry out attacks in the capital during October's elections, in which President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva is seeking a 4th term. Intercepted communications showed that the suspects, aged 19 and 31, were planning several acts of violence against the presidential palace, parliament, Supreme Court, and the various ministries in Brasilia, saying Victor Victor Fernandez, Digital Rights Secretary with the Justice Ministry.
He told a press conference that the suspects were members of two public groups on the Telegram platform that shared information regarding the planning of attacks in Brasilia during the election period. They were conspiring against the political system as a whole without specifying left or right and without targeting specific officials by name, said Maurílio Kelho, head of intelligence for the Brasilia Civil Police. They are from 5 different states, do not know each other personally, and do not have criminal records, Kelho said. One of them is a seminarian at a monastery in northeastern Pernambuco. According to a police statement, the group had exchanged messages about traveling to Brasilia, storming buildings, choosing targets, recruiting people from different states, and conducting tactical training. They also allegedly shared building plans and 3D models of government buildings in the capital, as well as manuals for the manufacture of explosive devices. The investigation was triggered by information from a cybercrimes intelligence unit. Police have seized electronic devices and are investigating how organized the group was and how far any plans had progressed. Authorities have asked the National Data Protection Agency, an independent public body, to investigate whether Telegram failed in its duty to prevent the mass circulation of criminal content, said Fernandez.
And on to a bit of sports. Nigeria's Super Falcons are through to the quarterfinals of the 2026 African Women Cup of Nations after a commanding victory over Egypt in their final group game on Wednesday. The defending champions thrashed their North Africa opponent 6-2 to secure their place in the next round. Now, veteran striker Azizat Oshola, Christy Oshebe, and Captain Rashidat Ajibade all converted for the sports to help their seal the win. The record winners of the competition will now face Cameroon in the last 8 for a place in the semis. Meanwhile, Zambia are out of the competition despite edging Malawi 2-1 in the other Group C encounter to finish third. Gianni Infantino will remain in his position as FIFA president after retaining the backing of senior management in the world football. Infantino had to apologize for mistakes surrounding his controversial private investment proposal at an emergency meeting on Wednesday in Morocco. The proposal to seal stakes in FIFA competitions drew sharp criticism from UEFA and several football officials, which led to calls for the World Football Boss to resign. Infantino and FIFA Secretary General have now apologized to member associations, admitting the process should have been handled differently. FIFA says it has learned from the controversy and will improve its decision-making process. Meanwhile, the governing body have dismissed reports claiming Infantino had offered Morocco the right to host the 2030 World Cup final in exchange for its support. Well, that does it for the World News. My name is Sadia Tudusumo. Many thanks for staying with us.
Or marriage or anything concerning your life, you alone can fix it. I still remain your host, Regina Dopesi. Bye for now.
I hope you know what you're doing. In the bid to get a new son, don't lose the one you have.
Life
like an unending ocean.
Aki, you have blood on your hands.
Do not forget to come back with the document, even if you have to kill, steal, or destroy.
Young man, leave my office. Please, tell our children who this boy is.
Don't be carried away by my beauty.
Welcome to the Defenders, your window into the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. We take you beyond the uniform into the heart of the service.
We have also established a lot of policies that will drive our operational performance. First, we established the female squad after working on the National Safe Schools Coordination Center.
The Commandant General Special Intelligence for the Defenders, ensuring a safer, stronger, and more prosperous Nigeria for all.
My name's Jung Gwon-jong. I'm the boss of this entire hotel. My duties include heavy lifting, spreading happiness, and driving fancy cars.
I'm responsible for the area by the hotel entrance.
And I officially moved into the sunroom.
You think you can cut my share of the rent?
Say what? You're a maniac.
Most of the time, our lives are lackluster. When you add all the brilliant moments, or what we call miracles. Welcome.
My name is Moa. Remember it? You are.
She's stuck
over here.
Me.
This is a secret between the four of us. The fried cake is so yummy. Wow! Moa did it!
I'm in so much. For double 9 festival homework, I'm gonna beat you. If your legs are starting to hurt, you should have a foot bath.
AIT, sharing the African experience.